Does this look familiar to anyone? I brought out this gentleman's Facebook page screenshot, but to how many of you does this actually look familiar to? How many of you, by show of hands, have a Facebook? Is everybody in here? How many of you, by show of hands, have a Twitter? Quite a few, okay. And how about Instagram? Anybody? Okay, we got a few, all right. How many of you has that one friend, don't name any names, that's constantly posting pictures of themselves, what they're doing, how they're doing it, who they're doing it with, how special they feel doing these things, status updates every 5 minutes. You see everything that they post. And you just wonder to yourself, how can someone be so self-obsessed? Does increased usage of social media correlate with increased levels of narcissism? As social media continues to become a larger and larger presence within our world, it is important to measure the impact that social media has on the human psyche. Social media is still a relatively young thing. Facebook was actually launched in February 2004. It's only 11 years old. MySpace was founded in 2003, only 12 years old. Twitter, March of 2006, 9 years. And Instagram, even younger, beginning in 2010, only 5 years ago. And just like people are different, social media has different effects on different people. These effects have to be measured in order to understand the presence social media is taking within people and the community and the world. Breaking it down, according to the United States National Library of Medicine, narcissistic personality disorder is created within individuals who are infatuated with themselves, obsess over their own achievements, and feel as if they are superior to everyone else. This can be broken down into 4 subgroups. The craving narcissists, people who feel emotionally needy and undernourished. They may also appear clingy or demanding to those people around them. The manipulative narcissists. These people enjoy pulling the wool over others to obtain feelings of superiority by lying or manipulating other individuals. Phallic narcissists are mostly almost all male. They tend to be aggressive, athletic, and enjoy showing off their bodies, clothes, and overall manliness. The last of which is not featured on the slides because they were not found in my personal research, were the paranoid narcissists. These type of narcissists feel intense contempt for him or herself, but projects it outward onto others instead of inward onto themselves. Paranoid narcissists frequently drive other people away from themselves by hypercritical and jealous comments and behaviors. If I can get to my next page. My methodology was a confidential, self-reported survey of 46 participants. Unfortunately, 2 of the surveys had to be discarded because of answering errors. So there were 20 participants that were female and 24 participants that were male, a total of 44 in all. The narcissism questions were based on the psychology of the narcissistic personality inventory, which is used to collect data on potential narcissistic participants. The social media questions were created to measure the interactiveness of the participant in their social media outlets. There were a total of 11 narcissism questions and 11 social media questions. There was a total of 11 points possible for the narcissism questions and a total of 40 points possible for the social media questions. For the social media questions, a lot of them looked a bit like this. I checked my Facebook/Twitter/Instagram feed. 0, I never check. Once a day, 2 to 5 times a day, 6 to 9 times a day, more than 10 times a day. Depending on which one the participant checked, they were ranged from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order to accurately determine how active the participant was within their social media outlets. For the narcissism questions, this one incidentally, which of these more accurately describes me? I am a modest person and modesty does not become me. Incidentally, no one picked that modesty does not become them. And we will see with the answers that they gave later that potentially they did not tell the truth on that question. For these questions in particular were ranged. If they picked that they were a modest person, they were scored for a 0. If they picked that modesty did not become them, or the narcissistic answer for the narcissistic personality inventory, they were scored as a 1. As you can see, this data was created using the analytical and statistical software that we have on campus called Stata. As you can see, the bottom is narcissism, and on the left we have social media. The overall trend, as you can see, does go upwards. From left to right, it moves upward positively. As social media increases, so does narcissism, the highest being around up there. This was also created using Stata. The positive ones actually means that there is a positive correlation within the data that I received. If there was a negative in front of these numbers right there, that would mean that there was no correlation at all. The 0.2156 represents the amount of correlation. As you saw on the previous slide, the answers were scattered, but there is a positive correlation. It does move upward from left to right. The second number is the correlation coefficient. The closer the second number is to 1, the more positive the variables are related. There is a correlation, but it is not very significant. It's not a huge correlation, but you have to remember there were only 44 participants in this particular survey. So, I mean, despite the size of the survey, we still found a measurable form of data that actually shows that there were narcissistic students that, or potential narcissistic students that decided that, they answered that way. Out of 44 participants, from the self-reported data, there were 7 craving narcissists who answered with responses such as, I am a special person, instead of, I am no better or worse than most people. And I will never be satisfied until I get all that I deserve, instead of, I take my satisfactions where they come. Out of 44 participants from the self-reported data, there were 6 manipulative narcissists, people who answer positively to, I can make anybody believe anything I want them to, instead of, people sometimes believe what I tell them, and I expect a great deal from other people, instead of, I like to do things for others. Out of 44 participants from the self-reported data, there were 9 phallic narcissists, and they were, of course, all male, who answered positively to, I enjoy showing off my body, instead of, I do not enjoy showing off my body, and I'm an extraordinary person, instead of, I am much like everybody else. Let it be noted that these individuals exhibited the preliminary traits of narcissistic tendencies. Only further testing by doctors and psychologists can positively determine whether or not an individual has narcissistic personality disorder. These people only had the traits of them, the beginning traits. It's not an in-depth survey to necessarily measure, what type of narcissist they are. You can answer positively and may not necessarily be a narcissist. These students they were under the guidelines of these particular subgroups of narcissism. So the question is, are we becoming more narcissistic? This was a small sample of only 46 participants, with 2 of the surveys actually being discarded because of the answering errors. And it cannot be contributed to society as a whole or the community because it wasn't a random sample. Despite the small sample taken, a positive correlation was found within the data provided. This data does lend support that individuals are becoming more narcissistic with increased social media usage. Should we be worried? Now, this question is a bit less clear to actually answer. Narcissism has been around for centuries and has only within the last 100 years been recognized as a disorder. We should be more worried about the idea of a self-absorbed and conceited society, worried more about taking pictures than actually living life. Social media is a relatively new idea to the world still. More studies and future data is still needed to be able to determine the effect that social media is having on humans as an entire society and population, because different people recognize things differently. Just like people are different, they use social media differently, and these things have to be measured and categorized so that we can come up with, solutions and thought processes for how people are thinking using these media devices in the future. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Dr. Bascom, of course, who helped me so much during this project. Dr. Yao, who helped me with the data and everything so I could correlate my data. And I was so happy to see that there was a positive correlation because I was a bit worried about that. And, of course, the BC students that were kind enough to come out and see me. And there are my references.